Hebrews 11, verse number 1. Now, faith is. Now, that's an important phrase because all of a sudden we're saying we're into some definitions now. We're into some kind of clarification of what this key ingredient of the Christian life is all about. If there's one word that's associated with Christianity, it's the word faith. And so here comes our definition, at least the expression of what faith looks like as it's played out in Hebrews 11. And here it comes. It's in parallel form. It's in the Hebrew mind loves this concept of parallelism. And there's two phrases here. We ought to stack one on top of the other in our mind. And he says, it's being sure of what we hope for. There's the first line. And it's being certain of what we do not see. Okay? Number one on your worksheet, hopefully you found that, you've pulled that out. Jot this down. We need to understand biblical faith. And for some of you, we just need to better understand it. We need to review it. We need to grasp the concept of what it means to have biblical faith. Because you do know that in the world, we've taken the word faith and we've redefined it in some pretty unbiblical ways. People are talking about faith in ways that the Bible never talks about faith. So we need to make sure we understand what the word means. A lot of people think faith simply means to believe some facts in our head. And you know that's not it. Oh, it includes that. You really can't have biblical faith without assenting to facts, but it's much, much more than that. And we saw this months ago, in Hebrews chapter 6. So keep your finger here in Hebrews 11. And again, we're just laying some groundwork. Go back to Hebrews chapter 6, verse number 1. Hebrews 6:1. Just to get all of this in context and maybe refresh some words and some definitions that we've had in the past before we look at Hebrews 11's definition. Hebrews chapter 6. Are you with me? Did you have your coffee this morning? Okay, all right. Just checking in with you. Verse number 1. Therefore, let us leave the, now this is important, two words. What are they? Elementary teachings. What does that mean? It's not PhD stuff. This is not second level, third level Christianity. It's not 500, the Christianity class 500. This is basic stuff, the elementary teachings about Christ. And let's go on to maturity. Now he's going to define some elementary teachings, laying the foundation of repentance from acts that lead to death and faith in God. And if you've been around Compass at all, you know those are two powerfully and mightily important words. And the writer of Hebrews puts them right on the bottom shelf. These are the basics of the Christian life. Repentance and faith. Now, this is not a test, but if you've been around before, you know that I've taken those biblical words and I've tried to supplement those and give you some synonyms for those in the vernacular, in the common language. And repentance and faith we often refer to around here as turning and trusting. Okay? Turning and trusting. Repentance is to turn around, and faith is to trust. And here in this text, it makes that clear. And you can just plug those words in. Not laying, again, the foundation of turning. Now, that makes sense. From something. What do we turn from? Acts that lead to death. Repentance is a turning from sin. And look at the next phrase. And of faith. Now, here's the critical word. Circle it. It's two letters. I-N. Circle it. Faith in God. Okay? Now, we've said if faith is trusting, now that sounds different than believing facts. Faith or trusting in God. Now, the thing about the word pisteuo or pistis, the Greek word that we translate faith, is unfortunately in our English Bibles, it is often translated believe. And believe for us in 21st century English usually means assenting to facts. Hey, Johnny, do you believe in Santa Claus? Right? Believe oftentimes has that sense of just, do I assent to the reality of it? Do you believe in leprechauns? Do you believe what I said about what I did yesterday? It's an issue of facts. But the concept of pisteuo is often put together with a preposition, either in, into, or upon. Those are three different Greek prepositions. And a lot of times the word pisteuo or pistis, faith, is followed by those words. Now that's a little different. That carries with it a different sense. I trust in you sounds different than I believe you. Is that different? There's two different weights to that. And as a matter of fact, it's like saying pilot. So is there any pilots here? Anybody with a pilot's license? Okay, you wanted to show off. So who has them? You got one. Who's got a pilot's license? Anybody else? Pilot's license? Fantastic. Pilot's license? Anybody? Anybody in the front row? Pilot's license? No? Okay. Now, I can say, wow, you've got a pilot's license. I can make it, I can say, I believe that or I don't believe that, okay? I can look at you and say, wow, I don't know, pilot? You look like a pilot? Well, yeah, I have a pilot's license. Interesting. And I can make a decision. Do I believe it? Do I not believe it? Okay? That's not, believe it or not believe it is not the concept of biblical faith. Okay? Here's biblical faith. It's bringing my family down to the airport, Orange County Airport, and saying, here is my family. I would like to get on the plane because I believe in you. See? I believe in you, and we're going to get on the plane. That's different, see? And I'm not ready because I don't even know you, so I'm not sure. I would want to do a little more research before I place my trust in you to fly my family around, okay? Now, I know you a little better, but I'd still need a little more evidence that you can fly me and my kids around, okay? Because to say, oh, I believe you got a pilot's license, I believe you got a pilot's license, that's no problem. But there's emphasis and weight when I say believe in, see? Believe in. And that's the biblical usage of the word pisteuo or pistis, which means trust, okay? So we've already been here. This was months ago, I realize, or years ago. Who knows when we taught on Hebrews 6. But we believed in God. We don't just believe God. We believe in Him. We trust in Him, okay? Now, back to Hebrews 11. The concept of belief or faith in the Scriptures is something that is so sure or certain that it's going to lead to that kind of transfer of trust. And that's why the words here that are descriptive help us describe it. Look at the two words, to being sure and being certain. Being sure and being certain. Now, you don't really need that kind of word when it relates to things that we have personally experienced. I mean, it's really not, it's self-evident. I had a hamburger for lunch today, okay? To affirm that and to believe that it doesn't really require this kind of word because I saw it. When you need this and when it's important is when you're talking about something you didn't see or you haven't personally experienced, okay? That's why the following phrases come. It's in what we hope for and what we do not see. And I said this is parallelism because it really is. Everything you hope for, you haven't seen. Why? Because everything you hope for is in the future, right? And unless you're clairvoyant, you haven't seen the future. So you can't say, I've experienced it or seen it, because it's still to come. Okay? So let's try and build for the sake of Hebrews 11. And we're building on the foundation of knowing that belief is not mental assent, it's trusting. Okay? Let's build a phrase that we can use for the next 13 weeks. Letter A, pointy finger number 1. Let's just jot this down. It is a confidence, okay? There's our synonym, in something not seen.